Hey, what's up, man? I'm back. It's day number 2 of the week to Big Baby's podcast. I'm going to be interviewing my guy, DJ Castronova, LD Castro, Mr. Packback. Goddamn, that's my guy. He does damage when he's in the studio, when he's on the boards. But before I bring him in, let me introduce the show. So, hey, it's the Big Baby. And I'm back. And I want to let y'all know, man, that this is a special pod because I've done a few interviews. I've talked to a few people, but now I'm actually talking to one of my guys. And and it's somebody who I kind of been in the trenches with. We're going to tell some stories that are some Cartersville legendary stories that a lot of people may not be totally hip to the behind the scenes. You may have heard this and that, but a lot of stuff happened. And I thought it was really important to do this interview because we've been talking about the Northwest Georgia music scene. We've been talking about people uniting, but some of this unity that isn't happening, it's so deeply rooted in other stuff. And if you don't know the backstory, you may not understand that. But enough of me talking. What's up, Stro, bro? Happy to have you here.
Hey, that's my brother, man. What's up? We happy to be here, man. For sure.
Man, not much. So you're DJ, producer. Do you still rap?
Actually, I just got a distribution agreement to start my own label, and I'm gonna be the first artist on the label. So yeah, I'm doing music. I think it's important because, like, as you grow, I ain't really been an artist. Like, even when I was like dabbling with it back in the day with the Max Def, I was really more so producing. You know what I'm saying? And I had that whole lane kind of locked down. And I still thought I could have bars. So now I'm gonna just take a stab at it just for like a victory lap type of vibe, and we see how far it go.
It's funny that you say that because even back in the day, and I mean like 09, 2010, 2011, you had the same attitude towards rap, and you'd be like, I mean, fuck it, we need a third verse. And then you go in there and take 2 hours to write a verse and then redo it, then record it, then redo it.
Yeah.
But what got you into music?
Man, that's a good question. So I think a lot of people know me from music, if you do know me. But I felt like it was more of a unity thing with some friends of mine that kind of, well, if I'm gonna be honest, actually, it kind of just hit me. I actually got into music, producing. I always listened to music, but producing music. My dad is the person who introduced me to music. He had a trap house, in an undisclosed location way back in the day. And he had a little, I guess somebody had traded him something for a laptop, and he had a little program on it, like called Acid or something. It was like the most basic beat program you could have. And then I started messing with it. He was like, yeah, man, I got this computer, man. This dude just brought it to me. Go ahead, check it out, see if you can see what you got. He had speakers and stuff. So I was like, shit, man, I listen to music all day. I know I can make it. So, and then, I kind of took that production back to where I was from, which is Cartersville. So then we started our little crew in like 8th grade, something like that. Me, my boy Blake, shout out to Oppo, Rojo, Cruz, shout out to Cartier, man, like the boys, man. So yeah, man, it started off just in the trap.
So eventually that turned into DSA, right?
Exactly. So 8th grade, me, and this is my guys, me, Jamal Bird. I mean, it's a couple of us. We had started a group called DSA, Oppo, Tay, and we basically we called ourselves the Drama Set and Adolescents. And we was just reckless at the time, kids with no purpose. You're just running around a small city.
Yeah,
just having fun, enjoying life,
Nah, bro, I remember those days, and one of the funniest parts about DSA was y'all were sophomores when I was a freshman.
Okay.
And y'all was popping all the shit. And I remember we was leaving Carrollton after a game because you remember me, Skrilla, and Henry played with y'all on JV too.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Bro, y'all beat my ass so bad. outside of Carrollton, bro. I remember Tate having me in a full Nelson and Jamal just going to work on my ribs. I'm like, bro.
Well, you know, they used to do us the same way, and it's crazy because like we really didn't take a liking to the hazing process of entering high school, and we was pretty deep as a class, so you know we started dishing it out in 9th grade.
And you know, I'm happy to see that the hazing process has gone because it was bad. Like, you know how bad it was. Like, you really couldn't go to the bathroom in between class changes if you was a freshman at Cass. Like,
and see, that's an era that don't exist anymore. And at the time, it was like it was a real serious thing. You know what I mean? Like, it was like that's all we had to live for at that point was, you know, our crew, and you know, our school and our class. You know.
Yeah, you couldn't wait to be a sophomore just so you could, for one, walk around free, but then also get all that get back. But yeah, I remember I took my worst ass whooping from y'all. And then going into, I think it was my senior year, the 8th graders. No, it was going to my junior year. The 8th graders.
And by that time, you so seasoned.
Right, and you only picking and choosing people's little brothers or the ones who just got too much mouth, man. And they had a meeting with us before spring training and said, hey, the 8th graders are afraid to come up there for spring training because of the hazing and all of that. So, like, they put padlocks on the freshman locker room. Told us we couldn't go over there.
I never knew this.
Yeah, bro. So that's really when it started to go away because you had the younger generation who started telling.
Yeah, and that's what you see that happening now. And that's why I kind of knew where we are in today in society was going to happen because it was a thing to be like everybody like growing up wanted to be associated with trapping or being in the streets, right? Or being like listening to Gucci and being in the streets, right? This is what we kids, like we grew up listening to this music and we aren't from Atlanta, but we so close to where we can comprehend and understand and go be right in it. So it was crazy because like, when you have a generation of kids who are all under the same thought process, and then you have kids that are coming up after them who don't know nothing about that or may not have listened to these artists and then developed with these artists who kind of molded a whole generation. Now you got kids who are like, nah, you know what? We ain't taking that, you know? And then you got 6ix9ine, you got these other artists that come out and just, it is what it is because he didn't have no loyalty to them, you know?
Yeah, and you know, to take it back to kind of the conversation a little bit to our community, what made it so funny is people like me and you and some of the people who like actually from the Ville, who got like deeply rooted families in the Ville, is like we can only beef so much when our grandmamas in church together.
Exactly.
like it can only be on site so many times when our parents work together. Like, come on now.
And that's why I didn't understand why it was so real for a lot of people when they had their things, you know? Because it's like,
because you remember like DSA kind of graduated to Max Def, and that became like a movement for real around the Ville. Like, all you know, everybody want to do a fan sign, everybody want to come to the house of Max and kick it. Like, it was really a thing. And
well, that's culture, yeah, for sure.
And the love that y'all was getting, and I'm gonna say y'all because y'all was part of the crew, but I was more so just there chilling, driving. Like I wasn't even like, you know, the face. I wasn't creating content, and I was just me and Rez just there kicking it.
But it was like everybody was accepted, you know, at the end of the day.
Right, but once all that love started coming in, you started seeing so much hate for no reason because I was there every day. You know what I mean? Like me and Ian get out of practice, we come straight to the crib, we kicking it. During the summer, it's like, all right, bro, we done doing whatever we doing for the day. Let's just head over the plate. And goddamn, we really wasn't worried about nobody else in the city. We were in our lane, doing our own thing. I mean, yeah, everybody was sharing, you know what I'm saying? Because it's only so much.
Right, for sure.
But it was never on some, yeah, bro, fuck them on the other side. We ain't rocking with them. We ain't like nah, bro. Like,
well, you know what?
I don't know.
I got to speak to that because I feel.
Hold on, you're breaking up a little bit.
Hold on, let me go in here because it's a lot going on where I'm at. You got studios.
All right, yeah. So why pretty much DSA turns into a music group called Max Def. And it's a music group, Max Def Music Group, MDMG. And that's to the grave. Shout out to Tay. But anyways, so getting crazy love all over the field, girls making fan signs, writing Max Def on their titties, and all types of fun, wild stuff that teenagers do. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, you got groups that pop up that's like psyched out, and they just talking crazy shit, and like nobody even knew what that was. You know, Taurus and Dion, they started doing some joke where they was talking shit, but they are boys, so like we already knew what it was. And then some of that evolved and became some beef with the East Side. It's like, hey, bro, y'all do what y'all do over there. We're not living that same type of life. Like, motherfuckers over here ain't soft. Now, ain't gonna be none of that crazy stuff, but nobody was on no trying to cause no problem, make music and mess with hoes. That's really what it was all about.
Yeah. And that come with stuff at the end of the day. And I feel like, you talking about some real important times in our life that kind of like molded us to who we are. And I think during that time, when you coming from a place of love, or you are raised in a place of love or in a nurturing environment, you grow up with different attributes. And if you grow up in a place of fear, or if you grow up in a place of scarcity and not that much love in maybe your household growing up, it develops a different type of person. So you got people who be in middle school, or even like toddlers, even who you see could like look at another kid and they'd be mad, or they'll like start tearing up stuff, and you'd be like, what is you doing? Like, what's the problem? Like, you got your own, they got their own. But when people see attention, and especially like from where we was from, bro, like, let's be real, bro, it wasn't a lot of motion going on. We had the motion. So at that point, we living our best life at the end of the day. And we go, and it's like, I just feel like at the end of the day, bro, like, what else can you expect? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why we had the same problems in hip hop and in our community, because people can't tolerate. I don't think it would affect me if I seen you be super successful. Like, you could go on to make $1 million, bro, $100 million, and I'd be like, oh yeah, that's my boy. It's cool, but I ain't watching your play either, though. I ain't really checking for what you're doing. I'm in my own life, at the end of the day.
And I think that's super important. I think that's kind of why when all of that stuff kind of shook out, the cream somewhat rose to the top, in the sense that the people who were acting and moving in a way of love, who were acting and moving in a way of, hey, I'm in my own lane. Whatever you got over there is whatever you got, bro. Just keep your shit over there, and we cool. But I'll tell you the root of the beef. The real root of the beef was them little motherfuckers running their mouth from house to house saying this and that, so and so said this and that. And I think it's an important lesson that I learned really young is, bro, you got to watch what you say around people who are on the outside. Like, especially when you having conversations with your guys around women, like, you may just be thinking y'all talking, shooting the shit, making jokes about somebody.
Right.
Because I remember we got a phone call one night because we was making some of our jokes. Because, we had all of our jokes. We clowned everybody. And it was like, hey, I'm going to clown you, but I'm still going to kick it with you. Like,
yeah.
Like
and that's a part of it. Like, some people like satire. Some people enjoy to just fuck around and be idiots and have fun. Like, that's
exactly. Like, to this day, every time I see you, bro, I always ask you going to do damage, bro. It's a joke. It ain't got nothing to do with how I feel about you as a person. But then you got somebody on the outside who don't get the jokes.
Yeah.
They take the jokes and they run with the jokes. Because I remember, I'll say on here, we used to do that Hoover, Crip.
Yeah.
And somebody took that and ran back to the Crips. And the Crips say, oh, so y'all like, no, bro, we're not at all. Like,
yeah. And see, I think that was a real lesson. And that was a valuable lesson, I think, for you, because I recall that whole ordeal. And see, although I'm not affiliated with gangs, I understood like how they was coming, but I don't think they understood it from your perspective, because they took y'all. I don't even think they understood the difference between black people that's in the streets and that ain't, because they was only around niggas that was just street bound. So they got a whole different mentality. But when you come from somewhere like you, or you come from a good family, you know what I'm saying? And just it's not like what you want me to do. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
you can't get mad at me because where I'm from. But when you're identifying with these things, it doesn't mean as much because they're holding true to like this is what they have. You know what I'm saying? Like to identify with themselves. So it's like it's just one of them things where I mean, but at the end of the day, like how that whole situation panned out, what I realized was, you know, you just got to be prepared for whatever you do. Like you said, like if you're gonna say something, you got to just be prepared. You know what I'm saying? Like to stand on what you say,
bro.
because you never know. You know what I'm saying? Who
Bro,
listening?
and the
Especially
crazy,
now that we older, like you really know that more. You know.
and we look, and then you look back on some of the instances that happened. Like, bro, you couldn't pull up to McDonald's if you wasn't deep because you don't know who might be there.
Yeah.
You couldn't go hoop at the park no more. Something gonna pop off.
It was a real tense time, you know.
And I remember reaching out to somebody, and I was like, "Hey, bro, I see your grandmama every week at church.
Mm-hmm.
I can't beef with you.
Yeah.
I cannot beef with you. I see your grandmama give your grandmama a hug every week at church, and me and this person are like great friends now. But just getting caught up in the nonsense of hold on, I'm beefing with you because my friend and your friend are beefing, but we ain't got nothing to personally do with their beef. Don't get me wrong. Like I got my guys back when necessary, but I don't have a problem with you. I even got a problem with the person my partner got beef with. But I'm just on one side of the fence.
Let me speak on that. Right, that's a great point that you made, and we actually unpacking something a lot bigger than our conversation or our experience. Right. Mm-hmm. So what happens is when we have situations like that manifest and it just is what it is. Of course, you got to hold your side down, right? So I respect it from all angles. But what you had the knowledge to understand was, yeah, but I've been knowing him since before this. Like we was growing up together, and his grandmama know my grandmama, and our parents are friends. So it's like now you in a situation where you got to go against your own people, literally that you know, for what? And a lot of the times it do be a gang or it do be something like that, right? So. And that's the initiation process that I think just from looking at any group that you would say, you know what, well, we're going to represent this to the fullest and this is what we're doing. But we did that without involving gangs or without doing things of that nature. We just having a good time and we called ourselves a crew. And you know, that's just how I go, bro. Like at the end of the day, a lot of people can't identify or see past, oh, well, you know what I'm saying? What you saying? Based on how they feel, you know what I mean? Like they can't see the other side, and that's where we have a problem in society to where it's like, okay, you with them, I gotta go at you based on what we stand for.
Yeah, like
which just doesn't make sense a lot of the time. You know what I mean? To like everybody.
Like, bro, when all that stuff was happening, and I throw one name out there, I can't beef with Chris Edwards when Chris is my guy. We play basketball together. We kicked it. We would kick it when we see each other, and it was all love. And as we got older, we kicked it even more. It's like, hold on. We've been hooping together since 8th grade. I've known you forever. Your partner, my partner got beef, and I'm supposed to be beefing with you at this party that we just threw together?
And then I didn't even ever have beef with anybody. Like, I didn't even know people was beefing. Like, it's just like, my whole thing is, and I say that, yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. So tell me, fill me in, like, cause like,
well, you remember Red and a particular person who's
oh yeah,
that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, see, I think you know what. Actually, let's take it a step back. And since we doing it right now, I mean, you got the juiciest story on the internet. My brother. So I feel like at the end of the day, it's all about proximity, right? You know, if you got two people that are beefing or have an issue, I ain't gonna even say beefing. Two people that have a disagreement, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let's say y'all live in a 20-mile radius. You're gonna run into him at Walmart or the gas station. And that's why I never subscribe to the process of dividing people by the south side of the town or the north side or the east side or the west side. Because I feel like we don't live in a big enough city. Now you can have heritage and you can have a culture and you can represent where you're from and your community. But at the end of the day, we should never be tricked into a Willie Lynch syndrome to where we arguing with each other based on just because we from the opposite side.
Bruh, the village is 5 minutes away from the hill. As long as you don't catch that light over there by QT, you'll be at the hill in 5 minutes.
And you know The beautiful thing is we actually came to the point where we are now. We can throw Juneteenth events. We can have like the whole, but that's because we older and the kids are young, and we looking at it like, you know what? I never even subscribed to it then, so I don't even know.
I was just around, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like and most people knew, nah, AC he a good kid. These just his boys. He here chilling. Like he don't want no smoke with nobody. Like,
Yeah.
wasn't nobody getting no cool points for beating me up. Sorry.
Yeah. And then not only that, like I see people and they have a personal problem with me. Like they looking at me, they see me in the gas station, I'm by myself or whatever, you know. I'm like, yo, what's up? You know, like, and then it'd be like, oh no. Nah. So that's just like that shows you that people actually sometimes will respect you as a person by yourself. But when the group get around or the crew get around or the team get around and everybody get around, then you're dealing with something different because people have to choose
that group
in their
thing,
mind.
Man, like,
I'm the same. I'm the same around everybody. So I don't understand, you know, but that's
hey, so let's get a little bit back to the music, okay?
yeah.
So there was a time where there was a little bit of Max Def crossover and you were working a lot more heavily with K Major.
Yeah.
What was that like? And how come that ended?
That's a good question, man. That's actually a real point in my life. You know what I mean? Like it was a point where I was going to college, right? I was getting out of high school and I was like ready for new things. I was always thinking ahead and just trying to figure out like, yo, how can I expand? Like I ain't trying to be local. I'm not trying to be stuck. And we already did this. Like we run the streets at where we from. At the end of the day, like we got people gonna know us for what we did. And I was just trying to think about my next route. So me and K Major, the fact that you brought him up, I actually went to school with him. We graduated in the same class, but from different schools. So I went to Cartersville from pre-K to 8th. You see what I'm saying? And then in 8th grade, I moved and switched to Cass, right? So the whole time I was growing up, I was around everybody from Cartersville. You know what I'm saying? So I found I had the opportunity when we moved to where I came to a new school and I was able to like basically brand myself as like who I was to these people. They didn't even know me. You see what I'm saying? But I was still in Cartersville. So it was like, okay, damn, like this shit way different than Cartersville. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I left and I had a class with K Major in 8th grade. So fast forward to where we are now, right? And we actually sat right beside each other in our English class, me and Major. So we was real cool. And then we would like work on stuff together. He was doing music. I wasn't really into music at that time. I was just writing. And we were just like cool. We was just friends in school. So then I ended up going to the Art Institute. Mind you, we was doing the Max Def thing, and we still really had it going on, but I kind of was at the point where I had to make the decision, like, I'm going to college. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the next step of my life. And, you know, that's what I did. And when I went to college, I moved to Riverdale. So this is like 2009, 2010, and right when Flocka came out, Riverdale was on fire. So I was introduced to Atlanta, you know, as far as like living there. I had been, but like living there, it was a totally different environment than what I was from.
Yeah.
And then it was crazy down there. Like it wasn't, you know, and I stayed with my uncle. He had a nice crib, but I had to ride the MARTA to get to school. And I had to take 2 buses from Riverdale all the way to the train station to go all the way to the motherfucking north side. So it was like, bruh, so, but that's a whole nother story. Like that's the transition where, and I came back and I'm just looking at people like, the whole time we've been thinking y'all was like this and that. Then you go somewhere and you realize, bruh, it just ain't that. Like y'all ain't what y'all thought y'all were, whatever.
And real quick, when you talk about that, because you know I moved to the city the next year, went to Morehouse, and I was on the west side.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff that I saw around campus, the stuff that I learned, you know, going some places I probably shouldn't have been, getting cool with some people that I probably shouldn't have known. When you see people who actually live a certain life in your environments where that stuff is actually happening,
yeah,
and then you just come back home and you see people, it's like, I ain't saying I can beat you up, bro, but you soft. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Well, see, the whole thing is the narrative was like when you've never been to Disney World or Six Flags, right?
okay.
And you ain't never been to Six Flags in your life, but everybody's like, yeah, Six Flags, man, that's where it's popping. The city, go to the city. So then, like, you go to Six Flags, right? And then you come back home, but nobody's still been. But they're telling you how good it is. Like, I've seen it. I seen on YouTube, this dude was there. But in reality, y'all are living y'all's life through a spectacle that doesn't have anything to do with the fact that y'all should have been developing your own scene the way that we did. Because everybody here is looking at people in the city and trying to be like them and trying to keep up with them or act like they from the city or whatever that whole little thing is. But we had created a good, comfortable environment and we gathered friends and everybody where we was at.
And the crazy thing, and we're gonna get back to this K Major stuff.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing is about that is one reason why I really fuck with LaDon, right, as a rapper.
Yeah, right.
His sound is his own.
Yeah.
And you can hear his influences in his sound.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, where is he from? He's from the South. I can't put my finger on it, but it's his. And then you listen to some other rappers whose name I'm not going to say, and you go, you sound like you're from the city, which there's nothing wrong with that because that's a sound that works.
Mainstream sound.
But how do you out Future? How do you out Thug? How do you out Baby Lil Baby? You know what I mean? Like, it's so hard to be like somebody else when you're not them. And I think that people who aren't comfortable with themselves or who haven't traveled enough, they think it's a slight to be from the country. And don't get me wrong.
Thank you.
I'm glad you said that. If you're from the country,
you gotta have tough skin anyway, being from the country, though.
Right. But if you stand on that shit, because bro, I got clowned so many times. Cartersville, where's Cartersville? I always say, realest city in America.
Yep. And you know what?
What's up?
Yeah, you do. And you know what? I champion my city everywhere I go. And I go a step further to tell people I'm from Kingston because that's where my family from. And they be like, Kingston, Jamaica. I'd be like, no, it's like 200 people there, tops. But they be looking at me like, And when you own it, they don't even know what to do. They want you to be uncomfortable, especially like, okay, let's just get to the nitty-gritty. Like in Atlanta, like you go to Atlanta, you from the country, they're not gonna take that shit serious, period. And that's as they shouldn't. It's fine. Like they feel like they're the most lit city in America. They are. These is where the real niggas come from. They doing their thing on a global platform. They are. But I'm coming to you from where I'm from, representing how people where I'm from are. So if you able to deal with me and mesh with me, guess what? It may not be so different, right? So here's something I used
to get niggas with. I'd be like, show me the baddest joint from your city. I'll show you the top 3 from my city, and I bet you they're on the same level. Now the bottom of the barrel, we ain't going there. But I'm saying like top of the line, I'm like, bro, it's different, but it's not different. And the weird thing about people from Atlanta is they don't realize they still country too.
Yeah, that's the realest statement I done heard in a while because like I love Atlanta, I love my niggas from the city, but like we all from the South, bro. We all from Georgia.
Yeah, bro. It's still country. Like,
yeah.
But I can go on for days talking about New York niggas and how they bother me because they like, I'm from New York to Mecca. Yeah. Okay, good for you. Good for you.
Yeah, exactly. It's cool, but it ain't. I'm not from there, but yeah, it is what it is.
Back to K Major, man. Well, yeah, I know y'all work together. You hit the road with him some, right?
Yeah, for sure.
What was that experience like?
So I was like, to get back to my point. So we had a class together in 8th grade. Boom. I moved schools. I go to college at the Art Institute. Lo and behold, we have a class together again.
Okay.
So it was like, oh shit, I didn't even know he went to school there, right? So we was like, wow, man, we from the Ville, like let's get together. He was like, yeah, man, I stay right around the corner. My brother got a spot around the corner and stuff. So you're like, I'm gonna go up there after tomorrow. And I was still living in Riverdale. So mind you, Sandy Springs is where the Art Institute was, right? And I'm hitching it from fucking Riverdale, like on MARTA, like on public transit, So that's what I'm saying. I learned the city. Like I was like in the city. Like it wasn't no. And this is coming from Cartersville. This is coming from like staying at my folk crib. Like just like straight to the city. Like so, I was like, wow, So, but yeah, he ended up like just inviting me over to work with him at the school. You know what I'm saying? And then I ended up going to link up with him. He had the little blue Acura at the time. We just really started making beats. You know what I'm saying? And shout out to my boy Jamal Bird because before I left high school, he got me back on the program Fruity Loops. He actually introduced me to it. Kyler Lawrence gave him a copy when he stayed in Middlebrook, and I would be over there just hanging out in the hood, and I went over there and made beats. But yeah, we ended up going on the road. He had a lot more motion going on because his brother was managing him.
Mhm.
So I knew that I had the streets where I was from, and I knew I had artists, and I knew I had the whole thing, but I didn't understand how to enter into the industry. So what my whole thing was at the time was, okay, cool. Y'all got things that y'all need to get done. I'm coming into it like, okay, I want to be a producer. That's my goal in life. So I'm like, yeah, man, let me make beats. Let me work with y'all. I ended up producing a couple records for him. One of the ones he performed on 106 Park at the time. And I was just kind of like hanging out. I was hype, man. You know what I'm saying? I was performing with him, which at the time I was like, man, this some bullshit. I never would see myself being a nigga hype, man. I fucking hated it. I hated doing it. You know what I'm saying? I told this nigga, like, I'm not no fucking hype man, nigga. I got a whole crew, nigga. Like, and he was like, but I don't have a hype man. You know what I'm saying? But the blessing from that was because at the time, if I would have been so naive to say, it ain't no nigga hype man, fuck that, which is what most people do, I would not have the presence that I have to be a DJ now and understanding how to move a crowd and be a part of that process. And, I chalk all my experiences up to like me being the man I am in front of you. I don't look at ashamed of anything I've done or any decisions I made because they shaped me,
That's real. And I'll tell you one thing that I respect about what K Major did, and I'm not gonna say that I was speaking this highly of it when it was happening, right? Because again, it not my life, not my path, not for me to understand.
Yeah, for sure.
He didn't have the streets back home.
No.
Like he just got the streets now that he is who he's become.
And that's how it works sometimes for people, but
Yes, and I could go on for days about that, but these are people I know personally, so I'm not gonna do that. But he understood that. He was like, I don't need y'all to make it. It'd be nice.
And that's big where we from. Everybody thinks that it's about what everybody around them or the city's gonna say and what they think.
And
until you leave, you don't understand.
Like, you ain't gotta be loved back home for real, bro. Like there's a whole world out here. And what happened for him? He found love in the places where it actually matters.
Yeah.
And now he has plaques on the wall. And now, from what I see, he's giving opportunities to those back home who are serious about the craft to be entered into his circle.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's important too. And I think he knows how to pick them and how he knows. And I've honestly, the whole time I was with him, and I think he attests to this, like I was like a big brother to Major, and I kind of gave him the game on like what the social life was like as far as like what we experienced, right? And coming from my background, having like motion, not to say he didn't have motion because he was doing a lot of stuff, but
no,
he missed his he
didn't have no motion back home.
But what I'm saying is it back home, right? Yeah, he didn't, but he did have motion because he was focusing on something that niggas back home weren't even paying attention to, which was learning how to engineer, learning how to do this, being in rooms, working the room. So he had motion in the game, and this is what the stuff I was saying when I was with him early. Then I was like, you know what? I'm learning a lot from this. So I mean, he willed himself to where he is today. I mean, much power to any black man doing that. My whole thing is to see, the transition of like, okay, I think that I need them to where I come around and look at them because they're potentially in the same position that they were when I left. And that's how I feel. Like I had a lot of people didn't like me, bro. They didn't fuck with me like in middle school and shit like that. But then I've
heard some niggas say you went to Cass and all of a sudden you decided to get cool.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, I wasn't embraced where I was from. Like I look at it like I look at it like I wasn't even. I came from a totally different background, and I ain't never really told nobody this. But like my house burned down when I was like 6, bro. So we moved to Cartersville from Kingston on some. We had to move. You know what I'm saying? Like this is like not a choice. We moved into the projects, bro, on Puckett Street, Stonewall Street, bro. Like, and we got all our clothes from Salvation Army. So we introduced into society, into school, not having nothing. You know, so that people is like in polos and shit. They don't understand what the fuck we came from. So I never really had a focus on what people thought about me because I always had priorities when I left school. Like I got 3 little sisters and my mom always at work. So I ain't got time to be. And then when I went to Cass, it was kind of like, oh shit, and my boy from back in the day, I grew up with them. I'm from Kingston, Tago here. I met Quai, used to go to Cartersville. Then I'm like, damn, it's the same thing as leaving Cartersville. Like if you leave the city and you go move to California and you come back and you thinking that this was the whole world, what these people was talking about. And then you realize, damn, look at what we did with the city.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, man, like with the podcast and stuff, like the different people I've met throughout my life and throughout my career, and I don't tell people, like I'm not out here marketing myself as a podcast guy, right?
Right.
Because I don't want to market the podcast itself. I want to market the person. Like I want you to fall in love with me. So if you like me, you're gonna want to listen to me talk for hours, right?
Right.
And then you meet people from these different walks of life, and they tell you like, "Oh wow, you should do this." Like I was sitting in a bar one night back before COVID. One of these bars I used to go to on a regular, go in there, a little happy hour, have me a little bite to eat, have a couple drinks, and just bullshit. And this guy goes, "Are you a comedian?" I go, "No." I was like, "Why?" He's like, "I look at your delivery and the way you talk and all this stuff." I go, "Well, I write jokes," which is something I write jokes. People don't know I write jokes, but yeah,
I think you can write jokes. I can see you as a very successful joke writer or scripter. You know,
but I'm also just funny.
That's what I'm saying.
But the reason I'm funny is because I had funny friends. Like you can't sit in the house with you, Oppo, goddamn Red, in and not be funny. You gonna end up leaving having a bad day. And
that's crazy.
And I learned, like, bro, being black with messed up teeth. If you either gotta fight or be funny. If you fight, you get kicked out of school. You know, Sharon's not having that.
No. You get kicked out the house.
So I was like, I gotta learn how to be funny because if I'm not funny, I'm gonna be a cornball. And bro, I'm not gonna be no cornball.
Because I'm not a cornball. I feel that.
So all these different skills help us today. So getting back to you, the K major situation kind of ends or whatever. It runs its course. You get what you get out of that.
Well, I actually left and came back because I was like, you know what? I can't do this anymore because I have a crew of people who I've already, you know what I'm saying? That's my crew. And I basically can't just abandon them for this. So and that's why I left.
I wasn't going to say that. I was going to let you say that because I remember, and even in my head, I was like, is this the right decision? Because maybe you can bring the crew later on. But again, I was 19 then, didn't know shit. 29, looking at it now, wasn't in those rooms, don't know what that vibe was, don't know what that dynamic was. Facts. And I don't know how the other people in that crew are doing today. So, you know,
well, the thing about it is, this is the thing about it, and this is what you always got to remember. When I made that decision, I was doing it from a place of who I am and remaining myself. Right. I had to be true to myself, not to a crew, not to anybody else. I just knew I needed to make the right decision that felt right in my heart based on me looking at myself in the mirror as a real nigga. You know what I'm saying? And niggas don't even know what that shit is. It's like a dinosaur. But this at the time, this is what I based my decisions off of, like with integrity, you know, and I was like, you know what, I can't just abandon my crew. So I think what happened was when I went back with the newfound, it's like Eve coming back to find Adam ass, like, yo, man, let me put you down on some new stuff. You didn't know about this. And I just felt like my eyes were open. And it was difficult for me to convey that message.
Do you remember the day we was at Oppo crib and y'all was going to do a song and you and Kyler was having a beat off. Shout out to K Lawrence.
Yeah, one time for K Lawrence.
And y'all was like, all right, we're gonna take 30 minutes. Who can make the best beat?
Mm-hmm.
And you knocked your beat out like super, super quick. And at that point, Kyler hadn't had any formal training yet. Like he knew what he knew based off what he knew. But you know, you had spent that time with Major. You had went to school. You had somebody who knew what they were doing, teaching you how to do what it is that you were doing. And you knocked out a solid beat in like 30 minutes. And then later that night in the studio recording.
Mm-hmm.
And so being the nigga on the couch talking shit, I remember what you brought back, and you brought back a wealth of knowledge to try to expand what Max Def was doing. But let me ask you, why do you think Max? Hey, bro, why ain't Max Def together no more?
Man, you know what? That's a really good question, and this is so important to me, right? This is like what I am made of, right? I ain't never really even thought about none of this, but if I had to ask myself, you know, I wanted to go in a more positive direction musically.
Okay.
I wanted to do music that was a reflection of like talking about our real circumstances as far as the struggle and as far as like what Black people were dealing with. And I've always had this passion because before I even started with any of that, my mom had me watching Marcus Garvey and Bob Marley. And on Saturdays when kids was watching cartoons, I'm learning about myself. And I'm like, this is what we should be doing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it was really bigger than me. It wasn't even about me because I enjoyed what I did and we had fun. But I was like, we can't keep making the same music. I just always seen more, you know what I'm saying, for myself as a person and as an artist. But, you know, what I realized later, and this is probably, you know, a dollar short and 5 minutes too late. But, you know, I realized that people are going to express themselves the way that they deem for their life. You know what I mean? And like trying to have labels or have artists and trying to develop artists. And as a producer now, even like spending time working with Dallas, I'm like, you know, how do you get these artists to really understand that you're trying to show them something and just let you produce it? He says you don't. You just got to do it, and then they'll catch on. So like it's a balance, and I feel like when I left and when I came back, I didn't feel as much of the same embrace, but I couldn't necessarily blame that on anybody. You know what I mean? So I just was like, okay, bet. Well, if this is what we're doing or this is what we ain't doing, and you know, this is younger at the time, but I was just like, I'm just gonna go back to doing what I was doing.
Okay. Thank you for telling me that because I vaguely remember that because that stuff started happening like when I left. And like, you know, when I left, I barely came back and really don't ever come back still now.
Yeah.
And after that, you what was it the Tribe stuff that started? I know that's Plu and them, and I knew you were associated, but I didn't know to what degree you were. Was it Live Tribe?
Yeah, so Live Tribe, actually, that's kind of like I was telling you, if you pay attention, now that you see the thread of the material, I was telling you what I wanted to do. So the Live Tribe was like staying alive and sticking together. If you know Max Def, it was like to the maximum of his definition of life. So it's always had a message with it. So I try to do the same thing with younger, wilder, more uncivilized kids. And it doesn't always go that way. And it became a movement once again. And it's like, you know, and here we are again. And it's like, wow, like we go to the shows and, you know, the artists that I'm kind of managing at the time are bringing out 100 people just to pull up with at the door. So, you know, I understood how to create a movement and I did that and I applied it to the next thing. But what I still wasn't satisfied with was the message. And then you see, lo and behold, where we are now. And had we all kind of stayed true to that formula, I wouldn't be here by myself, you know. And, you know, I just feel like I've always known that's the way. And we would have really big records had we been talking about the struggle and what's going on. Because look what just happened to us and look where we are in society.
That's real. So you talked about you're getting ready to start your own label, correct?
Yeah, I just started my own label. So
talk to me about that.
So yeah, I actually started an imprint that's gonna be like a live event coordination company.
Okay.
and a label. It's like an entertainment company. So we do film, media, production, executive production, consultation, live events, event coordination. So I basically, got tired of doing everything for free because I don't know if you know. I mean, a lot of the beats I made, I was doing all of it for free. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm putting in unlimited hours for free. You know what I'm saying? Making beats for everybody, engineering the beats, making the cover art, all the stuff we did for Max Def. But I'm looking around and everybody rapping. We just have fun rapping, but I'm making the beats. I'm mixing the songs. I'm doing all the work. So I'm like, and the same thing happened with the next group that I was working with. I was doing a lot for people. I wasn't necessarily putting niggas on. Like I wasn't dropping 100 bands to put you on or nothing like that. But at the same time, what I did know, I was willing to share and I was willing to get the information. And if we needed beats or if I was making beats, to the point where I realized, like, yo, when do I get paid in this? Like how do I afford myself a life? Because I want to do this and I know this is where my passion is. So I had to realize, like, the game is to be sold and not told. And what you do is I've given people this, that third, and I'm saying like, yo, you should do this, do that. Now I'm to the point where I'm just gonna do the music myself because I know I can trust my own self. And I know I'm gonna know, like, and it ain't even all about me being like a Black Power artist or nothing like that. A lot of it's just how I feel, but to see like big people come to me and say, "Hey, I like your music. Hey, like you got something here. Like here's a distribution deal." And I'm like, well, I mean, I guess we'll see how this goes. And it ain't even really for me to kind of prove to the world like I'm a rapper. Like I'm just doing it because it's like a leisure thing. At the end of the day, I just enjoy to do it. And
But man, that's super dope, bro. And I'm proud of you because you've always had the mind of the exec. Like even back in the day with the way the crew ran, like Oppo was the face, you know what I
of
mean?
course,
If
of
you want to
course.
make it like a Dame and J type thing, you know what I mean? Like Oppo was
Same with Plu and the Tribe though. It's the same thing, same formula.
and I wasn't around for that, so I can't speak to it, but it makes sense, right? Because yeah, Plu is the
Yeah.
face of the tribe, Oppo
Mhm.
was the face of Max Def, but I know that in the Max Def days, the other stuff you were doing because wasn't nobody else making beats. You were
Mhm.
making beats, laying verses. You were doing the other work behind the scenes. And even when you talk about kind of how you pivoted out and you want to go in a different direction, I remember being around for some of those arguments of you just like, hey, bro, let's do this, let's try that. It's like, nah, bro,
Mhm.
they tripping, like, you know what I mean? And it's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
That's
so
really what happened, and then like you only feel like as a man, bro, like you a man. So you done been in situations where you like, I shouldn't be tolerating this, or like this is not who I am. And when you have those questions in your mind, it ain't got nothing to do with anybody else. It's you versus you. And you
yeah.
got to ask yourself who you gonna be. Like, am I gonna allow myself to be changed and to not be heard, or am I gonna show people? Well, and you look, I feel like I'm still doing it. Like I'm still going up. Like I don't think people understand. Like, and I'm getting older, so I'm not all on the gram putting my whole day-to-day life up, but it's like check the score. I feel like at the end of the day, I ain't even got started with like looking back on what I've done, but I'm not nowhere near to where I'm gonna be. And I don't think you are either. So that's just
Oh
you just
yeah,
got to
nah,
keep
bro, we
pushing.
just get started. How
Yeah.
did you get connected with Dallas? Dallas Austin, right?
Yeah, Dallas Austin. So
For the viewers who don't know who he is, give a little background on who he is.
so yeah, Dallas Austin is like he is a mythological figure in the music industry. He's like in the shadows. You probably won't ever hear about him, but he's behind some of your biggest artists and groups. So he did like TLC, the best-selling female group of all time, sold more records than any female group ever. He produced like pretty much the albums, Boys to Men, their first and second album. He wrote songs like "It's So Hard to Say Goodbye to Yesterday." I mean, he did Deion Sanders, Show Me the Money. He did a lot of cool records, man. He's just like, wow, man, he's making a lot of these songs, and he's actually a very humble and genuine guy. I met him through my boy K Major.
Okay.
He had a studio session with Warner Brothers at the time. He was a writer and producer for them. So they scheduled him a session with one of the Titans in Atlanta. And I didn't have an idea who he was, but I'm on Wikipedia in his crib, like, who is this? And I'm seeing like his discography, everybody else's shows the albums and the years. His is in alphabetical order because he's had so many records.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, who is this? You know what I'm saying? Then I figure out like, oh wow, he put Jermaine Dupri on. He had Dark Studios on. Thugs Engineer came from his tree. You know what I'm saying? He basically was behind a lot of what's going on in Atlanta because he was doing it when he was 17, 18, had $1 million worth of cars out front of his studio in the late 80s. So they talk about then passed the moon and did it. So he actually relaunched his label, and he just relaunched a distribution platform, and I got a distribution deal with him. And yeah, I'm about to release music as a label. I hope to put artists in position to succeed. And I really do it in a very practical approach. So I'm all about giving artists a platform to do what they want to do and educate them on how they can own and take care of their parents. You know, that's my big thing as a label owner.
This has been in the works for well over a year, hasn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and I went with the same imprint. I did Live Tribe, but I made it worldwide. So we Live Tribe worldwide now.
So it's funny because when I interviewed your sister over a year ago in LA, and I ended up losing that interview because I spilled wine on that laptop and never got to put it out.
Oh man.
Yeah, I know. She
One
talked
time for my sister Max. What up?
Yeah, we're gonna get to her in a second. We talked about that, and I was like, "Damn, that sounds good." But you know, I'm a skeptic. I'm like, I believe it when I see it because we all that's supposed to happen, and maybe it happens and maybe it don't. And then now a year later, I'm talking to you about it, and I go, "Oh shit." I've known this for a while and didn't even realize that I knew it. And granted, now I'm kind of happy that didn't come out because maybe she should have told me, maybe she shouldn't have. You know, we've known each other for so long. We get to talking and getting comfortable that, you know, it kind of changes the dynamic. Same with us, me and you right now. But so your sister's an artist as well. And I'll be honest with you, like it came out of nowhere for me when I pop up on like Instagram one day and she's like covering a song or putting out her new song. I'm like, Kiki sings?
Yeah.
Like since when? And then like, you know, I reach out to her, we start talking and stuff, and she's telling me like, yeah, like I'm in Memphis right now doing this and this. And now she's been in LA for over a year working.
Yeah.
And it's like, hold on. A lot of people go out to LA to follow their dreams. And a lot of people come home in 6 months.
Yeah.
So I don't know where she's at in her process because we haven't linked back up. I owe her a conversation about having a conversation. But how did it make you feel when you saw your little sister shared your passion?
Man, you know what? My little sister is my heart. All of them. You know, they like my kids, honestly. So it's like to see her following my footprints. I never realized how much of an impact I had on my siblings or my family until like recently. So it's like I've always just been leading, like trailblazing and just living and not even just, you know, but at the same time to see her pursue her dream and to like go into something that she believes in and really do it on her own, I can't do nothing but respect it. So she is also one of the artists that I'm looking and excited to put this record out that we're working on. So we about to start a whole new process with her. And kind of where I'm at with it now is I'm kind of like building the real infrastructure of a label.
Okay.
And it's a lot more than, you know, just putting out a song. It's a lot of the behind the scenes processes that you learn. And once I come from out of this dungeon in the huddle, I plan to make a real run for it. And she's one of the artists that I want to put out as well. So I got a few other artists, man, that I'm just gonna I'm gonna let time do its mystery and not speak on too much, because I think that the element of surprise is also important as well.
You know, I'm so happy to hear that because I've also been working on a little something. And there's only a few people who are in like my close inner circle who know about it. And somewhat similar to what you're doing, but not on the side of the house. And when I tell you it is so difficult to come up with business structure and how you actually want to do your stuff, especially for me, I'm by myself, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And trying to convince people, hey, I believe in you. I need you to believe in me in this bigger picture. And it's just hard. And I don't think a lot of people realize that it's one thing to be talented and be talented. Like, yeah, you can be a rapper, you can be a producer, but when you're trying to cross over and be an executive to actually run a business, it takes so much out of you. And sometimes, man, it makes the creative process that much harder because it's like, hold on, let me take off my creative hat and put on my business hat because I got to do both. I got to figure out which one makes the most sense right now because there are some days you need to be the best producer, rapper, DJ that you can be. And other days, like, no, I don't. I got to put this on the back burner. I got to be an exec.
Yeah, man, that's that's really the whole name of my life right now. You know what I mean? Like I went through so many processes, and like I said, being around Dallas, I was able to watch him rebuild his entire label because my relationship from when I met him. BB calling? All right, yeah. So I mean, no, I'm bad. That was actually him. Now talking about. So I'm over working on some music over here, but yeah, man, just I was able. He basically just was like, yeah, man, you know, who you signed to? And I was like, I ain't signing to nobody. You know what I mean? He was like, you still making beats? I was like, yeah. He's like, well, we gonna figure a situation out for you. So lo and behold, God put me in this position, bro, like to where I was working with him on a day-to-day basis. And I got to watch him not only go through the process of being a celebrity himself, but also watch him during the process of recreating and rebranding his own label, which he just put back out. The ups, the downs, the ins and outs. And I know that's why I'm qualified to have a label. And, you know, it's just like, it's not always going to be red carpets. You know what I'm saying? Like bad women, the clubs and parties. It's not like that all the time. But, you know, I live in that lane too because I'm a DJ. So I got to keep my ear to what's going on. So I play a lot of different positions simultaneously without people even realizing it. I don't think.
So how did you get into DJ?
So Dallas, man, you a smart guy, bro. I don't know how you be doing it with these questions, but you got something going on because actually he actually needed a DJ assistant.
Okay.
At the time. So at the time, I'm just like basically I'm making music, but I was working and I was like, you know what, I'm done with this working. I'm not working for anybody but myself anymore. So I left my job. I had a great job at the time, but I feel like I could always get any job that I want because I knew the importance of keeping my head and my nose clean. Mm-hmm. And I also knew because I was raised by smart people, so I could go into the corporate field anytime I want. And I think that's another thing I want to hit on. Like people think it's cool to just hang out all day, but I learned more about selling products working for AT&T than I ever could have learned. Well, I ain't gonna say I ever could have learned, but then I did from being out in the streets. So it's like that, you know, you never can like, don't ever like block your own like ability to learn from a place that you may not be familiar with.
Oh, bro, I can go for days about the people who don't like working 9 to 5. Like, bro, I ain't gonna never work no 9 to 5. I'm like, there are some benefits to it besides having benefits, you know, and a steady paycheck. You also learn how to do things. You also have to learn how to do stuff that you don't want to do in order to get what you want and just deal with people that you don't know. It's not the worst thing in the world to work 9 to 5 if that would make sense for you.
Yeah, and I think that my whole thing was I never wanted to work at a factory because I come from Cartersville and my whole nothing against anybody working and making that money. Go get your money. Don't worry about what nobody else say anyway. But I just didn't want to subscribe to that because I felt like that would be a dead end. And I accepted my position working for AT&T just because of the fact that there was an opportunity, you know, to do something that I didn't do. I was making great money, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And it was more money than I had ever made in my life at the time. And I had already dabbled with music and I've already been around, you know, a few times. I moved to Atlanta, I had moved back. and I was trying to really establish myself as a man. And I just was like, you know what? Let me just bite the bullet and do what I need to do as a man, because my family's in my ear. Like, you need to figure out what you're gonna do. And at the same time, I still wouldn't go work for like Toyo or Shaw or anything like that. But I went to AT&T because of the opportunity to get a job and move to Atlanta. So I still had the same goal. I just needed the resources. So I was like, well, I'll work here and then I'll transfer my job to the city.
Okay.
So yeah, that's just basically like, I don't think people should shoot that down.
No, they should. So you started as Dallas's DJ assistant, right?
Yeah, so I started as DJ assistant, basically, and long story short, I did that for like a couple of months. I got a few events. I was making like good money, you know. So I was like, wow, who knows you could go DJ for one night and make $500? That's like, that was unheard of at the time. So, I was like, wow, this is a whole different level, So and then the people that I'm meeting is just like, it was like an introduction into like Hollywood, like literally. So I'm meeting like A-list celebrities, B-list celebrities, rappers, and DJing big parties like we did. So I basically would set him up and start this party up. So like opening set and setting up everything, right? The humility is like the common thread in my narrative, because I understand that remaining humble and working hard, my granddaddy Duck.
Yeah,
I was
your hustle's mentality, because Duck, he gonna make him something.
Yeah,
And,
he gonna, yeah.
and it ain't working for nobody. He gonna work for himself and make something shake.
So that's what I was a product of. So when I started working with Dallas, we were kind of practicing. He was like, seeing how you do. He showed me how to set everything up. He was showing me everything, and he just gave me a front seat, just off the strength. Like, let me help this guy out with what he wants to do, because he's passionate about it. And that was like, I had never been embraced like that. So I was like, damn, this is dope. So we ended up doing the Super Bowl 2019. And so I started in 2019 working with him. And then the Super Bowl was in February. So I had about a month to prep. And we did 12 parties in 5 days from Wednesday to Sunday. So that was my introduction into the game, the music industry. And it was a whole different world, bro. Like, you can't sleep. It's just like nonstop. And it's like, and people go through that like right now. Like it's people like Megan Thee Stallion. You see these big artists, Lil Baby, the Baby, these big celebrities, they live in a whole different type of time. It's probably slower now because of the pandemic, but it's real. Like, that's real. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't even understand the artist who regularly tours and then works on the album at the same time. Like, bro, how?
Your day has to be on a schedule. You have to literally know what time you're waking up and going to sleep. And that's like a robot. Like, you can program your body as a tool that can be programmed to do whatever means that you direct it to, as long as you're feeling physically able, But it's crazy what the levels you can get to in life.
Yeah, so let's get back to your DJing a little bit. So when you're making up your mix, so I had DJ Wes Walker on, Mr. Make It Nasty, about a week and some change ago, and he talked about how he likes to, not necessarily DJ venues, but like just street mixes and stuff like that. What's your style when it comes to DJing?
So I got a really unorthodox process, because I don't like pick songs in order to play before I go on. So I just play random songs that come to my mind while I'm playing.
Okay.
But I did learn the proper way to create a set, and I just got the vibe of the room, bro. I'm a big like vibe person. Like, I create events around people, and I play music for people. I don't play music just because I'm the DJ and I'm up there in the booth. Like, I literally look at the crowd while I'm playing. I analyze everybody in the room. I see who moves to what song, and I'll start with one person. And what I'll do is I'll get one person moving, and then I'll turn it into two or whoever they're with, and then I'll go.
So you pick the girl you want to holler at.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you control the narrative.
If you can get the group of the bad chicks dancing, you good. You'd have made a night shake.
Yeah.
So, and me and Wes Walker was talking about a lot of DJs who fall in love with their mix, right?
Oh my gosh.
when you go out and you're not working, or maybe you're going somewhere and you're not the only DJ spinning for the night, like what's your vibe when you see a DJ and you know he fell in love with his mix, but he didn't fall in love with the people who are there to hear the music?
People go out to listen to music because they're stressed out. They don't have the money to go out. They're just going out because they want to go out and they need a release from everything. So I understand that. And this, I'm gonna get into your question, but like I just want to say that for all my DJs out there. Like people really spend their money on drinks and they know they don't have it. And this guy know he does not have the money to buy this girl a drink and he's still gonna buy it.
Bro, I'm going out to hear music trying to get some ass.
Exactly. Like, well, you know what the goal is. I'm buying her this drink so she may want to like me and come home with me. Let's be honest about it. You know, we guys, I mean, that's just how guys think. But as far as if I'm in an environment where I honestly, it's tough for me to go listen to DJs that aren't good because after about the third song of mixing, I'm gonna be like, because I can't stop listening. Like as a DJ, if you like, you don't get off. Like you're playing music the whole time. Like every song is picked by you. So I'm gonna listen to each song. And if I'm out and about just casually spending money or enjoying myself, I'm gonna be like, yo, this is the vibe that I came to. I took her here because I wanted this vibe, like this low-key R&B late night after hours vibe. And you in here playing, you know, Mystical Danger. I'm like, we need some Meek Mill, whatever you want, you know, like so it's just like the vibe. Like you gotta understand the atmosphere you create.
Man, and I'll tell you, now that I've been doing this podcast thing, now that I've been doing interviews and stuff,
yeah,
I cannot listen to a bad interview.
That's what I'm saying.
Because once you start doing something and it's something that you work on like day in and day out, like I listen to a bunch of podcasts, I watch a bunch of interviews. Half the time, I don't even care who they're talking to or what they're talking about. I go, people like this, they like this person, they like this style. What can I take from them to get better?
Yeah.
And then I'll watch a bad one. And I'll tell you off mic some of the stuff that like I think is awful.
Yeah.
And you watch and you listen to and you go, bro, this is terrible. And then the worst part is when you see people supporting a bad product, and then you come off as a hater because you like, bro, this shit sucks.
Yeah.
Why do y'all like this? And it's like, can you not expand your palate beyond box wine and maybe visit a vineyard or a winery one time and try you some actually good wine so you realize what good is?
And then some people like it's just like rap music for kids. Like some kids like the song because their parents hate it. They're just like, yeah, you hate this, don't you? You don't get it. And it's just, that's what they do. And I understand that to a degree, but I think that there's a rebellious spirit that's born with some people. And other people are just, like you saying, not privy or haven't experienced enough to even know the difference. So you just got to find out what you're dealing with.
So you spend every Friday at Harold's, right?
Harold's Chicken and Ice Bar. Shouts out to Miss Bobby.
How'd you get that gig?
Dustin Garnigan. Shout out to Dustin Garnigan from Carter, man. He was like, yo, man, looking for a DJ. It was already a guy there who had the job. And a lot of my gigs, honestly, it's kind of messed up, but I got them from somebody else. I just took their position as a DJ. And no disrespect, but like he was like, yeah. They're like, yeah, we need a DJ. She's looking for somebody else for Friday. Yeah. And they told me about the vibe and how it was kind of like, okay, yeah, we want to switch it up. So I ended up going to do a pop-up one day. It was like a Sunday. And they were like, yeah, just come Sunday and you'll try out. And if you do good. And every time I usually show up and try out, I usually get the gig. So, and that comes from hours of listening to music and just producing for 10 years. Like if you asking me to make a beat, it's one thing, but to ask me to just play songs that are already hits in order, it's like, okay, this is easy. So it's
how production made you a better DJ?
I've spent 24 hours working on one beat and like will literally get up just to pee and just to use the bathroom and I have a sickening work ethic that I'm so proud of. And I never understood it when my granddaddy was making me wash cars when I was 6 in December. or 7. It's just unnecessary. I wasn't making a lot of money.
Bruh, tell you.
But now I'm like,
Oh, my granddaddy had me on roofs in a Georgia summer from 7 in the morning to 5 in the evening. I'm like, why am I doing this?
look, fuck why I'm here. Why are you up here?
Like, no, you out here paying me pennies to be on this roof, sweating, taking in all this sun. But now I look back at it and I go,
yeah.
I can work
Yes.
10, 12, however many hours on something that I actually care about. Because
Like it's nothing. Like it's nothing. Yeah.
Doing shit where I didn't have no choice.
Well, you know, and that's the good thing about like coming from the country. Like everybody think, oh yeah, y'all just, but see, you got benefits on everywhere, you know, because I feel like, bruh, I sleep just so I can charge it for the next day, you know, and it's just like I'm always going. So people like imagine playing songs, bro, from 9 to 3 in the morning and making sure that people stay in the room.
Yeah.
It's not like it's like a magic show. It's like just like a skill. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how it all works even a lot of the time. And even like podcasting, like, and it's very like we've been on the phone for an hour. Yeah. And but you see how people like your attention span for people, or you work with people, or you're like, wow, you really don't have a work ethic. You really can't go the distance.
And I tell you, that's the craziest things that I pulled from a Don interview. He was like, I don't work with a lot of niggas because they don't actually work. They tell you they working.
Yeah.
But they ain't actually working. Like, they ain't gonna come in here and put in this work. And as somebody who's worked with multiple people on the podcast front, tried to like work out different situations, man, one of the hardest things about me finding a consistent partner is when I'm working, and it's crazy and it's obsessive and it's unhealthy because it's I'm walking my dog. Okay, I'm listening to this podcast right now, trying to figure some shit out. Oh, I'm going to the grocery store. Yes, I'm going to grocery shop, but I'm also looking for content because something's going on in the world that I might want to be able to talk about while I'm in here. Oh, I'm going to the bar tonight. I'm not only going to the bar to have fun and chase ass. I'm also going to, oh, this is happening. That's happening. Get off your phone. No. Stuff is right now. This is content.
You never off work.
Exactly. Like, bro, I was watching the Black Panther movie last night. Forgive me for not remembering the title of it, but y'all know the movie I'm talking about. The Fred Hampton story. And the whole time I'm watching that movie, I'm like, nah, I'm just gonna watch it the first time to enjoy it. Nah, let me grab this book, start making notes, because there's content everywhere. And for me, if you are a creative and you're not looking for content or creating content 75% of your time, what are you doing, bro?
It's like the Instagram people. Like people look at these people like, oh, all you care about is Instagram. You're always posting on Instagram. You're always making videos, but then they get $5,000 a post.
Yeah, bro. If you got content that people like and are gonna pay for, you put it out there. There's nothing wrong with utilizing social media to advance what you're doing. It's only lame or not cool when you're posting to show yourself in a way that's not true to who you are. Hey, real quick, thanks for the comment, Calhoun. We got to talk we got to talk later. I got something for you, Calhoun. But let me get back to you. I saw you do the Northwest Georgia takeover a couple weeks ago when that list shit was going crazy. What obligation do you feel as a DJ to try to help put some of the artists that you know and respect on?
Well, you know, coming to DN.
Hold on.
Yo, we still here?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. No, I mean, you kind of DJing is a job within itself, just like the rest of them. In this game, you know, you got to climb a lot of trees and a lot of mountains to get to the top. And you just got to be secure with the fact that you train every day, work hard every day. It's like LeBron James, and you show up to the office and do your job and leave, right? So, but when you have sparks of culture that slip through the crack, you know, of the universe, and it's like in the forefront, and it's like cataclysmic issue is potentially brewing, I look at that as like opportunity, because I'm like, look, y'all gonna really crash out again. Y'all like, it's like y'all already just always have been just on the edge waiting to just crash out with each other. And everybody needs an issue, a reason to just push them over the top, because everybody going through it, right? Mm-hmm. But when I see people just making lists about generalities on social media that don't exist in like real life, it's like we're creating a new thing, but how does that correlate with what you do when you log off? Like, I think social media has like literally, especially for smaller market areas, has literally convinced people that this is the new lunchroom table.
Bruh, social media has people thinking what they say matters. And I'll be honest with you, with a lot of us, including me, somebody who gets on here and talks multiple days a week, what I say don't really matter. It only matters if you make it matter. Right. Now, it matters to me, but it doesn't matter until someone else makes it matter. And people get into Facebook comments, people get on Twitter, and they go on and on and on. It's like, bruh, no one cares what you're saying. Like, I watched the list conversation, and don't get me wrong, I appreciate it because it sent me down some rabbit holes, listening to some different artists, going like, you know what? I need to talk to these artists because they don't have a platform to come and talk. They can put out their music, but if you don't know them personally, you don't know who they are.
And you're not going to connect with the music.
Exactly. So when I see the list thing, I go, all right, but y'all are picking y'all's homeboys. And to me, it's like, nah, bro, like, I can be cool with somebody and not be a fan of their raps.
Yeah, for sure.
And it has nothing to do with how I feel about them as a person. And then you got people saying, well, I only listen to the old heads, so here's my list. Okay, I'm glad you let me know who you listen to.
Yeah, exactly. And
I can't make a list because the only rappers from the Ville High who are in my rotation are LaDon and Sid Jones. Why? Yeah. Because they make music for where I'm at in life.
Yeah. Like, and music is a reflection of life, and records are people don't even know what music is. Like, they really, I mean, I've been privy enough to understand now.
Tar like, said, what's up, G?
Tell the brother, boy, I said, what's happening? Catch him in Jamaica. But no, man, it's like, you think you know when you lean on your own understanding, but then you meet somebody who eclipses your whole existence and what you thought you were doing in music. And you have to just be humble and say, you know what, let me get to work. And nobody has that humbling experience when you're sitting around and you didn't even leave. So it's just like, you know.
And I think that's what Major did to a lot of people back home. Because let's be honest, we can talk to the young kids. They look at K Major one way because they know K Major. They don't know Kendrick. They don't know KB. We know Kendrick. We know KB.
Right.
And see where he's at today, and to see the love that he's getting back home now. I'm not talking about what he was doing in the industry, because I think there are two separate lives, right? It really lets you know, for one, a lot of y'all are phony because y'all ain't listening to the music. Y'all wasn't around for the struggle. And I heard the shit y'all was talking in 08 and 09. Okay, you can talk that shit. And I can tell you somebody, yeah, K Major doesn't make music for me.
Yeah.
But I'm still going to share his posts. I'm still going to rock with what he's doing because he's from my hometown. Same thing with a lot of, with like Plu. I just interviewed Plu last week. I listened to his music for the interview. But his style of music is not for me. I don't think it's bad music. I listen to it and go, oh, wow, I can actually see your growth, because I remember when you and Skrilla did that Wasted remix in 2009, and that shit was awful. And I see where you're at today, and I go, oh no, you can rap. You got a sound that works. I got it. And I go, I can rock with that. Shit, I listen to Dulo. I didn't even know Nico McClain was a rapper.
Yeah.
And then I listen to it and I go, okay, you got to sound like, you kind of sound like the Baby, but it don't sound like you biting the Baby. You just got a similar flow, similar voice structure, and it's good. Yeah. Hell, I listened to Buckets of Bitch not too long ago.
I love him, bro. I love his music.
And I'm like, damn.
It ain't even that. It ain't even, bro. It ain't even that. It ain't even that. I feel like he just an amazing rapper. It's just I know he into what he's saying, and I know he mean what he's saying.
And when you can see the passion in what somebody's doing, and you can tell that they love it, bro. Cooker done played basketball and named those countries. And that man, what, 35, something like that?
Yeah, yeah.
He like grown as hell, and he's choosing to rap as a means to express himself and possibly make a bag. I don't know. I haven't interviewed him yet. I'm interviewing him later this week. But to see that, when you see somebody who, in the same with LaDon, when you see people rapping, when it's like, hold on, bro, you gonna start rapping at 30?
Yeah, but see, I'm about to start rapping. But see, my whole thing is I'm not a rapper, and that's the whole reason I never rapped. Like, and then like I did rap a little bit in Max, but like the reason I never really, because I was like I didn't identify as a rapper. Like I literally was like I'm not no rapper, bro. Like I'm straight on all that rapping because of the mindset that I was in, right? But I realized like, you know what? It's really like the opportunity is there. And it ain't even that I'm just a capitalist or like an opportunist on the situation. It's more like people telling me, like, bro, you need to do this. Like, you need to do it. Like, you got your own sound, you got your beats, you got everything. I'm like, I listen to the people.
Did he rap? JD rap? Dre got a classic album. Like, you know what I mean? You can still be an exec and a producer and make quality music.
And I just want to really break it in with my relationships and the people that I know who know me, who are like, yo, we like you. So I'm doing, this is this, and then this is them. So you got to do, it's like a process. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And I think what we're losing so much in society, because Instagram does it to us, because it gives you the opportunity to blow up in 2 days. You can have one moment go viral or one song go viral and you're Little Nas X. You know what I mean? And that takes away so much from the actual process that normally happens. And people find themselves at 24 like, I ain't where I'm supposed to be at. Bro, yes, you are. You're 24. You haven't done anything yet. You don't know anything yet. Like, I look at myself sometimes and I go, and like in my actual day job, I'm doing fairly well for myself. But guess what? It's not fulfilling. It's like, okay, yes, this pays my bills. This affords me a lifestyle that I absolutely love. But can I do this forever?
And a friend of mine told me that. Like, I was talking to my homie JB, Jamal Bird, and he was like, yeah, man, you so blessed, man. And I really, you always, he's like my best friend, like one of my best friends. I've been knowing him since I was in like 3rd grade or 4th grade. But he told me like, man, I really respect you and I fuck with you because you're able to do what you want to do and you do what you're passionate about. He's like, me, I make money. Yeah, I'm in the military, but at the same time, I don't even know what I'm passionate about. And I was just telling him, like, see, I love to find like anybody I talk to, friends, it could be somebody on the street. If I can give you a little bit to help you, if you got a problem, I'm gonna look at that as an opportunity because I'm like, well, yeah, you can do this, bro. Like, what you want to do? Like, I get into it. So I'm like, you know what? I think that comes from experience. You know what I'm saying? And I think that when we make a decision to say, okay, I'm making money, like I was making money, I was upwards of 60 grand a year, and this is in 2014. So I'm like, okay, I bought a crib, I bought a car, I'm riding around having my way at all these clubs, and I loved it, but I knew that wasn't who I was. You see what I'm saying? And I was just like, well, I go up here and do this job. Then I looked out and I was like, man, I ain't had a Saturday off in a year. Like, I'm looking outside one Saturday afternoon and I'm like, it's right on the other side of this glass and I can't go out there and just walk down the street if I want to. And that obligation was something to where I had to get that off of me. You see what I'm saying? Because it was like my spirit was not, it wasn't sitting right in my spirit. So I was just like, well, I'm gonna walk by faith. And that's what I did. And here I am.
And man, and it's definitely worked out for you, bro. I'm out of questions. We've talked. I've enjoyed it. I'm so happy you came on because we definitely got to chop it up. Is there anything else you want to let everybody know before we sign off?
Yeah, so I'm dropping my first single. It's called Geisha. And it's dropping on the 5th of March. So if y'all want to check that out, at Live Tribe Worldwide on Instagram. And then I'm on Instagram at one Castronova. And y'all can follow me, tap in with me, Harold's every Friday. This week gonna be crazy. It's my mama's birthday week, so we're going up. And AC, man, I wanted to say to you, man, for sure. Thanks for having me on. I definitely appreciate the platform and the opportunity. I'm proud of the man you becoming, and I can't wait to be on yachts in about 20 years, man, racing them motherfuckers with Cubans, and I'm out.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I look forward to that too, man. Look, send me that track before you put it out. That's what I ask all artists if you come on. Like, bro, I want to hear your music before you put it out.
Yeah, I'm about to send it to you now. I got you. I get you the exclusive for sure.
All right, bet. I'm gonna sign off real quick. Don't hang up though.
Okay, cool.
Oh no, not yet. Wrong button. That was my guy. That was my guy, DJ Castro Nova, LD Castro, Mr. Doing Damage on him, man. That's my guy. Hey, shout out to you, Candace. Yeah, it ain't gonna take that long. We're gonna say 10 though, and you know why it's gonna take me 10. But thanks, bro. Like, this was a great conversation. I'm happy we were able to have this conversation because it was so much stuff that we could talk about. And there's some history in Cartersville that a lot of y'all don't know about that y'all probably needed to hear. So thanks, Castro. We got Cooker Man coming up later on this week, and I got some more special guests coming next week. Big Baby,